All right, good morning once again. Welcome
Good
to
morning, sir.
welcome to Digital Z Hub. Okay, so we have been on developing responsive websites using Bootstrap as one of the JavaScript and CSS library. And what I have on my screen are some of the implementations. I could remember we started with Bootstrap grid system, where we discuss how Bootstrap lay out its website structure to support your website display properly or fitting to the size of different devices screen. And then we spent about 2 classes dealing with those elements. I know our last class was on, we started looking at our Bootstrap elements. We started picking some of the elements and start understanding how Bootstrap makes them responsive. But if I may just ask, I just want to find where we stop. I think it was in Bootstrap image. It's where we stop. Bootstrap image. I'm very sure. But just confirm from your notes. Are you here, ma? Can you hear me? Hello? Please confirm. Confirm if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir. We stop at Bootstrap
Image.
design elements.
Yeah, Bootstrap design elements. So
and we have taught key image classes. That's where we stop.
Good. So okay, so let's say Bootstrap key Bootstrap design element. So what we are learning here is simply understanding how Bootstrap relates or deals with each of these HTML elements that we have learned in the manual section. And we started looking at how can we use Bootstrap to style an image. Like you can see on the screen, we have 2 images. One is a rounded image or a circular image, while the other one is a rectangular image. So we designed these 2 images to appear like this with the help of Bootstrap. And not just that, these 2 images are responsive. If you remember, I have showed us how you can test the responsiveness. So let's try reducing it to mobile view and see whether we are still going to have these 2 pictures are placed side by side or the second one will have gone down. So let's string this particular site and see what will happen. So you can see that our setting, our Bootstrap classes is the one that on phone we can have the 2 of them displayed side by side. Right, so under the image elements, we discuss a couple of things. We talk about okay, it's like, okay, yes, we add the responsiveness. We talk about img-fluid, which is the base Bootstrap elements or responsiveness. That is the class that makes it to be responsive across devices. Let's talk about rounded cycle. That is the class that makes it what? A round object, like a circular object. And then we'll also talk about how Bootstrap width or height what containers, such as div images, using the width class. So I told us that in Bootstrap, this is how you indicate width. That is W-what? 50. That represents 50%. So we also have it for 75 and then 100. And then we also talk about how you can convert a block, how you can convert an inline element, because we are taught that the image itself is an inline element. So if we want to, there's something we try to do that make us to, first of all, convert it to D block, which means that we switch the image from being an inline element to become a block element using that D-hyphen block before we could set the maximum to be auto. I think it was floating to move it to the center. That is where we have to, first of all, convert it from an inline element to block element. And then we'll talk about Bootstrap heights. How Bootstrap measure height of a container or an element using the H-50, -25, -75, -100, just to indicate the width. So if you miss that class, you can go to this particular handle on YouTube. You search for it. The videos are all uploaded there. So in this session, we are going to proceed to another element. No, like I told us, is that I just want us to understand the individual element classes, how Bootstrap relates to most of those elements that we have learned. So we just concluded image. So in this session, I'll be focusing on buttons. So it's going to be Bootstrap buttons. How we can use Bootstrap to style button. You know, when we are creating anchor tag like links, we would like them to be user-friendly. And that is why we need to learn how does Bootstrap style button. Right? I hope you are still hearing me. Please let me confirm my audio again. So we are focusing on Bootstrap button. Bootstrap.
I'm hearing you, sir.
Okay, so let's look at Bootstrap button. Okay, let me unleave all that. Bootstrap button. Bootstrap. Okay, so what is Bootstrap button? By definition, we can say Bootstrap button are pre-styled clickable elements. Bootstrap button are prescribed pre-style. Let me see if I can quickly put it in writing for us to understand. Bootstrap, or let me just use the short BS, button are pre-style. I'm correct there. Pre-style clickable elements used to trigger action, used to trigger actions. All right, so now that is Bootstrap buttons. Now from the manual coding, we should know what I mean by button. You know, if I create anchor tag, for example, you will notice that it's usually called with a particular style, which is the kind of blue color or purple color underline and all of that. But we want our buttons within that website to be user friendly. And that is why we are talking about Bootstrap button. So how do we design it? How do we design it? So for example, I create a button element, which is what? Button. I create a button element and I say click me. Click me. Now, if I go to the front end now, let's check the default appearance. So you can see how this button appears here. It's not designed, though it has already absorbed some CSS from Bootstrap for it to appear like this. So it's a little bit friendly, but it is not enough. It's not design. We want the background color to be more user-friendly design. So that is where we now look at what are the classes that Bootstrap uses to talk to buttons, to design them, to make them look very creative and presentable. So let's look at the classes one after the other, and then I'll be demonstrating them. So now that takes us to the key classes or key, let's say key button classes, key button classes in Bootstrap, So I'm starting with the first one. The first one is what we call BTN. So it's going to be .btn. So BTN is the base. Remember I told you that every element in Bootstrap will always have the base class. And it is in that base class that you have the command that will make it responsive. So one of the class, that's why you see Bootstrap elements will always have basically two classes. Let's say ranging from two classes, because the first one is dedicated as the base element, base class. That is the one that carries the media query that is going to make it responsive. Then every other ones, they are for the beautification of it. So you need to understand all of this. So when we say that the BTN is the base element, in other words, we are saying that that is where you have the command that is going to make it responsive. I hope you are following. Let me get a response. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Yes, sir.
okay, so it's the base class. So we can say it's the base class. In other words, what does that mean? By default, which in other words means must be used. So that is another way we can refer to this base class. It's a must. You must use it. If you don't use it, every other one will not work. BTN. So for example, let me explain a few of them so that I can particularize them at the same time. So we have, let's look at another class, number two. Number two, we have, now once you have specified the base, which the most included class, then you can now write code like this, BTN primary. So you can see that for each other class you are using, you are referencing the BTN. Why? Because you have acknowledged it as the base element, the base class. All right. So this one is to generate a blue button, So once you create a button element and you give it BTN and you space and say BTN primary, then you are saying that is going to generate blue button. Now let's practicalize it. So this is the opening section of the tag. So I will space as usual. I will add class attributes as usual. So I will start with the base class, which is BTN. Now, before I will now space and say BTN primary. So what we are saying is that if I go back to the front end, you will notice that the button has been styled blue color and the text has been styled white. So this is what you will have done manually, calling the button. You say background color blue, text color white. Then you will now do padding, because how do I know that this particular class has implemented padding? Can you tell me, can you unmute and tell us why you feel that this particular class has added padding to this? What can you see that tells you that there is padding space between the click me? Can you respond quickly?
Yes, sir.
You said?
So I didn't get your question.
The
I didn't get
question
your
is that
question.
the particular class that we assign, which is BTN, and the btn primary. I'm asking, does it carry padding property on this element? Has it added padding? Looking at the appearance of it, has it truly added padding?
Yes, the edge is curved.
No, the edge curving is not padding. The edge curving is border radius. Are you with me? That is border radius. I'm talking about how do I know if there is padding space in this element? Look at it here. We are taught that padding is the space between the content and the boundary, the box that is surrounding it. Now you can see that this click me, is it touching this edge? Please respond very fast. Is this click me?
No.
Good. So it means that what? There is
It's in
what?
between.
Yeah, which means that there is what? Top what? Padding space, right? And bottom padding space, left padding space, and what?
Yes.
Right padding space. Now, you know that if, supposing we are going manual, you know, we will list all the, we say what? The element padding, we will now assign it. The element background color, we will now, but you can see just adding the Bootstrap class, 2 classes to this element, you have automatically given that object those styles. And that is the beauty of it. And not just that, the button will be responsive. The button will be responsive. That is, if this website is displayed on any device, the button will be responsive. You can see the way it's responsive now. So if it comes on mobile view, this is how it's going to do. You can see the way it's contrasting. It's adjusting itself automatically to fit the screen where it's being opened. And that is the essence of Bootstrap, that all our design contents will find a way of, fitting or adjusting automatically to any type of device that is used to open this website, being it's a small device or what, a bigger what device. Let's still do more about this, more classes that can be used to determine the style of a button. Now we have another one, which is, we have number 3, we have BTN hyphen, BTN hyphen sources. So this is going to produce, green color. It's going to produce green color button. So if we check now, let's say I change this primary now to the sources. You will notice that the color will change at the front end. You can see that we have also changed the button towards green. So what I am going to do, I think I should, so that we can be looking at them, let me copy and paste so that we can have all of them. So Control C and then Control V. So if I am updating this to the third class, which is sources. So if I go back to the front end, you will see that what? We have 2 different buttons. One is blue, one is green. That is because we have added another Bootstrap button class. So let's look at the next one, which is, so how many Bootstrap button classes we have discussed so far? The BTN, which is the base, which is the most used. The BTN primary for generating blue color, and the BTN word sources for generating green color. So let's see more. So the next one is danger, BTN danger. So this one will generate red color. This one will generate red color. So I hope we are making our notes. So if I update it here, let's say I remove this primary and I put what? Danger. So by the time you check your front end, you will discover that what? You have also styled a button to be what? Red. So we still have more. Just want to explain them properly. So the next one is, which is number 5, is BTN hyphen warning. So this is another Bootstrap button class. So this one we generate warning, we generate yellow color. That is what yellow we create. We give us the yellow color button. All right, so let me see. So let me update this one that I pasted to what warning and see the color is going to generate. So let's go back to the front end and check. So you can see that has generated what? Yellow color. So you need to know all this. Now, one thing, okay, let me just finish. I will tell you that most time we can borrow this property for another, though we are relating them to button right now. But I can create heading or a text and use this color scheme to style them. I'll look at that. But let me just complete this aspect first. So now the next one, which is number 6, we are still on Bootstrap button classes. All right, and we said these are pre-styled clickable elements used to trigger actions within a website. So the number 6 is BTN outline, BTN hyphen what? Outline. So this will generate an outline style, like a line color. This will generate an outline style. So we need to understand that this will generate an outline style. So let me update it here and see what comes out. Outline. So you see the difference. Let's go back and check. Let me take this out. So you see this is it here. It's just like, it's not that visible like the other one. So if you want your button to be as cool as that, you use what? The BT what? Outline. So we also have one that is called disable, just in case you come across it and you want to use it. As BTN, will I say BTN, what will I say now? BTN disable. BTN disable, am I right? Okay, disable. So let's say I want to update this to disable. So you can see it here, BTN disable. Now, what this will do is that it will make that particular, click something. Let me run it again. So it will disable that particular link. So you can see the outline. Now, once you click, you can see the outline coming. So which means that you have automatically what? Disabled that particular element. So these are basically the Bootstrap, what happens like the Visual Studio Code. So these are basically the classes that are associated with buttons. So anywhere within your website you are developing, maybe you are creating your website and you want to use button, maybe in your form. So when you are developing form, that button, you can just use any of these to save yourself from all those manual configurations. So let me see how responsible these buttons are. Let's see how responsible. Let me try reduce so you can see that what they are responsive due to you can see the way it's collapsing. That means the whole of that space that we assign has been consumed and the next item is going down. All right, so now do you have any question that is for button? That is for button. Do you have any question?
No,
Okay, so
no,
I was saying something that sometimes we can borrow this feature for other button, other command or element rather. So let's say I have H2 test. Welcome to Digitech. Say, welcome to Digitech. C Hub, let's assume. And I want to color it red. What do you think I'm going to do? And I want to borrow this idea. I want to borrow one of the Bootstrap button.
It's danger.
Good.
Danger.
So I will come inside what? Here and say what? BTN first. Right? Then I will now do what? BTN hyphen what? Danger. Sorry, I need to have added the class attribute before I can declare all this. So I'll start with BTN, then space BTN, just to confirm if it actually works with other elements. If we go to the front end, you see that what happened? Not text color, it gave us what? Background color. So let's assume this is what you want. So you can take advantage of this. All right, so you can actually talk to item with your own class. I think I've explained it before, that if you feel that you don't want to go with Bootstrap classes in order to inherit its style, pre-style feature, you can add your own. But when you add your own, this is how you add it. You space after his own. Then you now say maybe your own is H. So this is like the customized CSS now. So you add your own class name, and then you go to where you are writing your classes, sorry, your CSS. You go to your CSS section. So let's say we have this here, which is internal CSS application. So I can say .h as usual. So you have the privilege of customizing. That is one of the benefits of using it that we established from the beginning. So we are not mandated. So I can be mandated to use the base class, which offers me the responsiveness. Then every other appearance, I can customize it. So I can say, okay, here my color, the text color is currently white. So the color I want, I think currently white. So I can say it should change to what? Yellow. So if I go to the front end now, you see that what? Have I, was it not H? I'm trying to look at it. Let me see where. So in this case, it's trying to apply a Bootstrap one, so I can just remove this where I'm having this conflict. I will just remove this and then I check if it will allow mine to come in. So it has not even detected that element. Now, if you are trying to go this way and it's not saying it, then you still have another option. I don't want to waste our time. So you can actually come here. This one must be respected, and add your style and say color. This is what, can you tell me the type of CSS I'm applying now? It's part of what we have learned in the manual class. What type of CSS is this? If you can still remember, this is, okay, so this is what? Inline, remember, inline. So if it doesn't, if the Bootstrap current appearance or setting deprive your own from working when you are working with external or internal, you write it directly inside. So it will give its first priority to the inline style before the Bootstrap one that is coming from the outside. So why do I have to show all this? Because there are times that you cannot go ahead with the Bootstrap WordPress style. Maybe Bootstrap has style elements, certain appearance, and you want to do some adjustments. So you have the privilege of retouching that element using, leveraging on your external way of styling, or your inline or your internal. I hope that is clear so that we can go to the next element.
Yes, sir.
Talk about elements. Looking at another element. Okay, so let's look at another Bootstrap element, which is Bootstrap heading tag. How does Bootstrap style heading tag? Remember that from our manual class, we were taught that HTML has how many heading? Let me hear from you. How many heading does HTML has? How many heading tags? Can you still remember?
H1, H2.
That is H6. We have 6 heading. H1 to
Okay.
what? To H what?
6.
6. Good. Now, what we are about to learn is that how does Bootstrap, if I am building a website, and anywhere within my website, I'm using H1, or I'm using H2, or I'm using H3, how does Bootstrap what? Make them responsive? How does Bootstrap what? Style them? All right, so Bootstrap enhances HTML headings. Bootstrap enhances HTML headings. All right, let me see if I can put it in writing for the sake of note making. So I say Bootstrap VS enhances HTML headings, which means from H1 to what? H6. From H1 to what? To H6. From H1 to H6. With consistent, that is what? Appearing the same. Instead of some places you use area black, another one. So that is not consistent way of styling your text. Consistent fonts, size, let me break it, spacing, and etc. So one of the benefits of using Bootstrap heading tag classes is to enhance what? Consistency. So that will take us to the key elements, the key classes rather, for this set of tags, key classes. You know, there was an advice I gave to us some time ago that when you are learning Bootstrap, particularly if you have been trained on the manual, just like you have been trained for months before coming here, you are not actually learning all these tags for the first time. We have been using them to build websites. But what your focus will be in Bootstrap is the classes Bootstrap is using to effect their designs. That is what we are focusing on. Because over there in the manual section, we were giving these classes as we like. But now we are now constrained to an extent to depend on Bootstrap classes. Why? Because we want to benefit from the pre-style appearance. So for each element, just like the way we pick image and we pick button, and now we are talking to the heading tag, you need to know so that whenever you are using any of them in your development, you know, oh, because I'm using heading tag, and I want to rely on Bootstrap what? Appearance, then I have to know its classes. And that is why you see the way I am explaining them. Right? So now let's look at them one after the other. So let's say I'm going to start with, like I said, these particular properties, these particular classes, they are used when it comes to heading tags. Heading tag, which ranges from head 1 to what? Heading 2, or sorry, heading 6. So let's say I have H2 here. I think my comment is not complete. That is why it is. Let me see. Okay, so I believe you have written that before. I just want to let me see if okay, I think what is missing. Let me check. Is it that I have my comments? Something has gone wrong. Let me just take this. Control C. So now, so I said we are looking at what? Key classes. I'm looking at key classes. Key classes. So let's say we have H1. We have H1, which is what? Welcome. Welcome to web development training session. That is for H1. Now, the first class we want to talk about is we have .h1, and I'm combining it together, and what? .h6. So which means that if you are dealing with H1, let's look at the default appearance without adding the Bootstrap classes. Let's see how it comes. Welcome to, where is it? I think at this point, let me convert all this to comments so that we can focus on what we are working with. So let me go back. So you can see how it comes. Welcome to web development. You can see the way, just look at the appearance without adding Bootstrap class. So now let's add, this is H1. So I'll put what? Class H1. All right, which is that .h1. Now, if we go back to the front end now, let's check. Has the appearance changed? I want you to reply whether the appearance has changed. Did the appearance change? Did you observe any different? Okay, let me put H6. Just watch. I'm putting H6 now. Let's check. Is it changing? Are you here, ma? I just want
Yes,
to
sir.
get
Yes,
good.
sir. Yes, sir.
Good. Now, if I put, normally when we type H1 to H6, H1 is always bigger, right? H6 is the least. Remember, we demonstrated this. So what it means is that you can use, let's say, H4. So let's see the appearance. That will give you the equivalent to the size of that default. So this is very simple to understand. So either you use H1, use H2, you have the privilege of using them to 6. And that will give you that slide. So now we are going to look at other tags, other what tags, other properties that can be used to influence the appearance of this text. For example, when we're learning the manual method, we talk about floating your text to the left-hand side, to the right-hand side, to the size alignment. So how do we communicate all that in Bootstrap? How do we communicate all that? So I'll say other tags. So here, for example, we can add display -1 towards display -6. What do I mean? So we can come here and say, look at what happened. If I say space and I say what? Display. And I say display and I say -1. This is a class. So if I go there, so this is going to make it big. You see what happened to it now? You have the default style before, which was like average. And then the moment you added display -1, what happened? It what increases, that is the kind of extra large. So I can come and say what? Display -2. Display -2 and check. You see it now? So these are some other tags. These are some other classes you can use to fine-tune the defaults or the main classes. So I can say 6. So wherever you are adding display, don't exceed 6. So you can see 6. You can see these are some other ways you can use to control it. That's why I say other tags. All right. I hope that is taken well.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so still on other, so which means that under other tag, we have dot display. We have dot display, which can range from 1 to what to 6. All right. So now let's look at, we are still under other tag. For example, if I want to, let's talk about alignment. Let me just capture it that way. Alignment of text, not alignment of image. Now, we talk about the one of image, margin left and that. Now for text, if for example, this particular text now, I want to display it maybe to my right, to the middle, maybe to the left, though by default it has already been positioned at the left. So how do I work with alignment of text in Bootstrap? So what I'm going to simply do is to also know the Bootstrap classes for alignment. So the first one I want to talk about under the alignment, we have what we call the dot text hyphen center. Let's start with that. We have hyphen center. So this one is going to align your text to the middle. This one will align the text to the what? To the middle. It's just like when we normally do text align. You remember text align, we now say center in the manual section. So in Bootstrap here, for you to move this text to the middle, you come here and add the class what? Text. So I will just say what? Text, then hyphen what? Center. So let's go to the front end and check. You can see that I have moved the text to the middle just by adding what? Text hyphen center. So you just have to be used to this. Now, the next one I want to talk about is still under alignment is what? Text, how will I call it? Let's say text hyphen end. So this will move your text. This will, or let's say this will align the text to the right. That is what is calling end, to the right side. Right. So if I modify it here, let me copy this so that we can still be seeing all of them in case we want to compare. So let me change this to end and see what happens. End. So the moment you click, you see what this second one, you can see that it has moved it to what? To the right hand side. I hope that is clear. So
Yes, sir.
what we have basically is what are the alignment classes now? Center and what?
And
And end. Now we don't have left. You know why? Because by default the text is already displayed. Once you remove any of this, you have the, once you remove this, so long that tag is not carrying any of this, whether text center or text end, automatically you are using what? Left. I hope that is clear. So we'll now look at the next one. Just want to make sure that. So the next topic, we are still on Bootstrap design elements. The next topic is paragraph. That's Bootstrap paragraph. That is P tag. Bootstrap paragraph. So when you are working with paragraph, how do we relate with Bootstrap? Paragraph. How do we relate with Bootstrap when you are working with paragraph? So Bootstrap makes paragraph stand out. It makes paragraph stand out. You need to understand that. It makes paragraph will stand out. So let's look at some of the key classes for this. let's look at the key classes. Key classes for this, key classes. So let's say I have paragraph, that is p tag, and I say, okay, let me just create lorem test. Let me just create some test with this particular property. So I want to give me like just 50 words. So I've created a paragraph. I'll go to the front end now. I'll see it. Okay, so now we want to add some classes to improve the appearance of this. And the first one I want to look at is what? Lead. So if we add this class to paragraph, this will make it to stand out. So this is one that will actually make it to stand out. So this will make it to stand out, right? So this will make it to standard. So let's add it now. So if I come here and say class, and I say what? Lead. So let's go to the front end and see the impact. See the way the text is better presented, right? So that is for make it to stand out. Now, let's even check the responsiveness. Let's see whether if we start shrinking this website, the text will collapse. So you can see the way the text is adjusting. Nothing is cutting just because what is responsive. Adibin is not responsive. As you are adjusting, and some things will have been cutting off. So as you are doing this, you have to be testing the responsiveness to know whether everything is in place. So we have other ones. We are still on paragraph key classes. Paragraph key classes. So we have those ones that we talk about, the, what is it called? Test, hyphen what? Center, hyphen center, comma, test, hyphen, which one again? End, Abby? Yeah, hyphen,
Yes, sir.
end. They are applicable to paragraph. You can use them. So which means I can come here and say test center is allowed. You can use them. So Adibin is not covering the entire length of the text. It's not spreading across. It will have moved it to what? To the center. So it's allowed. You can use them. Now, well, let's just look at some of them outside these ones that are still applicable, which is number 3. So number 3 is we have tests hyphen muted. This is one class. So which means light faded text. That is what it will give you. So this will give you light faded text. This will give you light faded word text. So let's check how it works. Let's add it here. So let's add it to this. Let me remove this so that you can see it. So if I come and say test what? Muted. So let's see what we are going to get. So you can see, can you notice the difference? Check whether there's
Yes, sir.
difference.
It's not that visible again.
Good. So there are times that you write a text and you don't want it to be too black. You understand? You just add this property to it, and then sorry, this class, and then you have it faded out. Now, still on paragraph key classes. So we have what we call FW hyphen bold. FW hyphen bold. What will this give to the text? This will make it what? Make it bold. So you can see that once you take your time to understand this, you will love coding with Bootstrap because it saves you a lot of time. Just for you to take time to understand these classes across the major elements you use. So the next, like this, let's add that FW bold. And then let's go back to the front end and see what will have happened. So like I close it or what? Now, have you noticed the difference? The write-up is
Yes,
now more what?
yes.
Good. So that is for that. Now, the next one, still under paragraph number 5, is FST hyphen italic. You already know what this will give you. This will make
To
it
design the handwriting.
it will slant it, right? It will slant it. So this will slant text. This will slant the text. So let's see it. You can have both of them, or I can come here and add it. Sorry. So I can have multiple classes. That is, I want my text to be bold and I want it to be slanted. So I will leave that bold and just place and then update the second one. This is FT, then this. So now that let's see what happened. You can see that what we have the bold and the text is now also what? Slanted. I hope you are following.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that is for that. That is for that. So now I would like to stop here because having for this being our first class as we are coming back from the long holiday, so that she doesn't miss all. So the next class I'm going to continue with Bootstrap list tag. You know, we talked about list tag that time. All those UL, LI, so those are the things we are going to be addressing. How Bootstrap communicates, how Bootstrap makes them look good. Any question?
Yes, sir. The question I have, can I share my screen? Let me show you something. Where I add H2.
Okay.
Then my write-up is not.
Let me see it. Let me quickly see it.
Comments. I'm trying to see the share button on the screen.
I can see. I think I've allowed you to go ahead and see.
Can you see it now?
Not yet. I can't yet to check.
You can't see it.
No.
Mm. You can see it
Okay,
now, sir.
yes, it's coming up now. Okay, well, just okay. What did you change that you are talking about? Okay.
Don't mind me. This thing was under before, maybe because I'm not in full screen.
Okay.
The welcome to Tech was under the click me. So I wanted to ask if I want it to be in the same line, what will I do? But it is maybe my screen was half. That's why.
Okay. So you were even writing all of them alongside with me so fast. I can see you have implemented almost everything that I've done. Okay, so
It's just here that I stopped.
okay. All right, so I'll see you.
But sir, another thing, please,
Okay.
this my picture. It's like you
Okay.
don't have padding on top.
Which one? Which picture is that? Okay, as they are merging at the top.
Yes. What will I do to put it?
Are
It's close to the.
they are all in one container div, right?
Yes.
Is that div that you talk to? You can add your own cost. You can write it inside and say margin top. You know, we have done that now.
Okay.
Margin top, so that we
Okay.
push it down. You understand? That is
Okay.
why I said if Bootstrap probably you don't understand the class that can give you that bringing it down, then you can borrow your manual knowledge. So it's allowed. You can, so long that element carries the base class that makes it responsive. You have the privilege of using your own customized style.
Okay. Then if I want the button to move a bit from the picture,
Yes,
we
is
see.
that if you want the button to move down, if all the buttons are in one container, if they are in one container, so it is that container. You talk to the container before it, which means you are going to talk to the container where you have these images, but you will not say margin button, so that to push those things from that you are saying create space at the bottom, that will not move those buttons down. Because if you reference, if you are talking to those buttons, because you don't have anything under the button, it may not move. So if you are saying the div that is holding all those buttons, margin bottom, it will not move. But if you do margin top, it will move. So it's better you talk to the element before it and say you not talk to that element, that element should create space at the bottom. And when that happens, the next element to it will move down. So if you want to create
Okay,
that
sir.
space at the top, you say margin top. If you want to create the space at the bottom, that same element that is holding all the images, you say margin bottom. Are you
Okay, sir.
getting it now?
Thanks, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Mm.
All right. Have a blessed day.
And you too, sir.